Hi. So I got an email asking me about walk-ins and specifically, are there any different ways you can get a walk-in besides getting out of body and finding a being to change places with you? So it's a great topic, and there's tons of books about it. There's tons of ways to do it. I think it's just the matter of our creativity. But here's how I would start. So when thinking about walk-in and, like, hey, you want to get out of this place. You want to be done with Earth. You want to be done with your life. But at the same time, looking at the walk-in is an easy way out where you're not going to blow your brains out. You're not going to cause a mess. And second, you might care about your relatives or people around you where you don't want to hurt them. So in a way, they're keeping you here. You care about them. And it's like, oh, if I can find a way to leave without hurting anyone and making a mess, that's going to be great. Good. So when looking for a walk-in, an important part is finding a being who would like to change spaces and places with you. Now, to do that, it's great if you can get out of body, astral project, meet someone, have a conversation, and you're lucky, if there's a switch. But there's another way to do it. And basically, you would start with imagining, thinking about it, and specifically just defining what kind of being would switch places with you. Define it for yourself. Like, let's say, okay, personality-wise, that being would be either like you or, okay, so if someone would take this body and use this and have this life of mine, and wherever they take this life, I would like this being to be smart, intelligent, know more than I do, have a way better understanding of life and how everything works, have an idea about, matrix, who is in control, or, like how many groups are there, how do they affect world, how do they affect people, how do they control everything, blah, blah, blah. So like, let's say if I was to define a being, I would go with for me, knowledge is just one of the biggest things. I need that being to know stuff. Self-control, meaning life happens. Well, life is amazing. But then things like Murphy's Law, entities, being targeted, people, and everything else, there are so many things that can trigger you. And if you learn to control yourself, to love yourself first, so that you would accept yourself the way you are, you wouldn't go into somebody told you that you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, that you're a failure, something else that hurt you and stuck with you your entire life or for a very long period of time. If you learn to love yourself, no one else will need to, or no one else will be able to trigger those things. And for me, Gary Vaynerchuk is the prime example. He has a lot of haters just because he comes out as the guy that a lot of people think he's saying, hustle, work your ass off, don't live, blah, 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 and just work, 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 work. That's not what he's saying. He's talking about empathy. He's talking about self-love. He's talking about loving others, and there's so much. But taking care of yourself so that you would be happy in life is his number one thing. And a lot of people who will see Gary Vaynerchuk for the first time, they will listen to him, and they might get a trigger, and they will not like him. And they're going to get pissed off, and they're just going to say, Gary's just too harsh. He's just not my type, or there's going to be a lot of nasty words or whatever. But if you listen to him long enough, you're going to find massive compassion for humanity and just him wanting to create the best life possible for others, where you can love yourself, you're happy with what you're doing, and you find a way to live your passion. And that's his thing. So I think following that kind of an example where you're happy with yourself, if I wanted someone to take my place, I would really like that being to love themselves, so that anything that happens in the background would not trigger them. Because if you're happy with yourself, even when people say things to you, even when people don't respond to you, even when there's third parties, relationships, and other things happen, there would be no jealousy, no other things that would get in the way that would sort of get you going sideways. So, knowledge, self-love, self-control, and then, okay, abilities, or how can you look at yourself? So you would define What kind of being would you like to take your place? Their personality is one thing. Looks ain't gonna change because they're like the consciousness is just gonna take control of your body while you leave. And another thing, like the essence of that being. What kind of essence does it radiate? Let's say you might have met someone in your life where it was a person or an animal, and you might have felt this unconditional love. This place where, wow, I really feel like I can be myself in this person's presence. Like I can take off my masks, I can say whatever I want and know that I will not be judged or that I will be accepted for who I am. And so you would find like, or you would define what kind of essence would you like this being to have? Would they be like, let's say, have unconditional love, have this, like be a catalyst for change? How would they impact people? So you define the being that you would like to change places with you. Now, they don't have to be like, wunderkinds and just change everything, but specifically for someone that you would like to switch, it would be great to define it. Now that you have defined what kind of being would you like to switch places with you, think of like, okay, if I was to find that being, where would we meet? And again, you would define, imagine, think of a place where you would meet that person or the being and have a conversation. And it can be anywhere. Like, let's say it's up to your creativity, campfire or spaceship or underwater, anything that makes you feel comfortable, that makes it feel like exciting or like, hey, this is the right place to meet and talk to this kind of being that I want to switch with. And so again, you define it, you imagine it, you think of it, whatever is best for you to create. It's like you don't have to have best visuals, but you can write. You might have read some books, you might have seen some movies where you have like the background scenery, like, yeah, it has to be like this. And what kind of music, what kind of sounds would you hear in the background if that was a thing for you? What kind of smells would be there? So the more profound you have like the image of the whole place, it is better. So you would create a location. You have the being, you have the location. Now, the next part would be to sort of like imagine, allow yourself to imagine walking into that place that you've defined where you would be comfortable meeting that person. And here they are. He, she, whoever you meet that you have defined as like, this is the perfection you've met. What kind of conversation would you have? How would you go about it? Hi, would you switch my body with me? I'm done with this life. I just want to be done. Like I would love to kill myself, but I can't. And how would you go about it? Would you just casually say that you're freaking tired and you want to switch? Or would you have a good enough reasons for why this being should take your body, for why this being should switch with you? You see, when you're not taking care of yourself, and I'm kind of going to go sideways a bit, not that many people will want to take your place. Like you can even get out of body. You can find people to talk with. But if you really messed up your body, it's not like a person's gonna be like, yay, I can get a body that's been a drug addict and alcoholic and really messed up and has migraines and the body's all fucked up and lazy and obese and there. Oh. No, they can pass. Like the thing about walk-ins is that looking at soul contracts, when people incarnate here, they sign agreements. It just like really messes up their life. Walk-in is like using a back door. You skip that part. You can, of course, you might carry over like the agreements that the physical body has, but the whole case of what should limit the being is not there anymore. It's like, whatever mindset you might have about being rich, about being lucky, about getting laid, about having a girl or a guy or having relationships, anything that would like really be there for you to mess up your life, a walk-in doesn't have those issues. But if you mess up the physical body, that's where they can go like, I'm gonna pass. So when you have a conversation with that being, you want to make sure you're in the state where they feel like, yeah, this is a good body. I would actually like to switch places with you. So you're kind of inclined, like, okay, I want to switch. I don't want to just blow my brains out or something. I don't want to hang myself on a rope or whatever other ways you were thinking of. So you have to like, you got a place, you got a being. Now, are you good enough? Like your physical body, the life you have, is it like good enough to be taken over by someone else and just start and just fix things? the relationships you have, how many of them are really messed up. It's not going to be a massive deal for another being because they don't really have a case. The way you react to your mom, your dad, your siblings, your grandmother, anyone, your friends, your coworkers, your boss, like you have built a case because of what they said, what they've done, what they haven't said, what they haven't done, the promises kept and the promises broken and everything else. You have a history with people. The other person, when they come, they will have the knowledge of what you have done with this body, of what you have said, of what you haven't done and all, but they will not carry over the case where you're all messed up about, oh, they're going to think of this and like tons of assumptions and things in the background. It's not going to be their thing. So for them, fixing their relationships is easy enough, or cutting people out of your life. It's like, okay, like I don't care, I start over and all. So your physical body, is it good enough? Have you taken care of it? You don't have to be a supermodel. You don't have to be super fit. But making sure where your life is not too messed up and the being that wants to come and make the change and make something happen, you know, hey, would they like your body? And here's the thing. I mentioned this and you might feel like, well, okay, my body's like this. And then who would like to switch places with me? Well, if you're feeling kind of like worried that you might not be perfect and no one's perfect in this life and all, but there are things like, let's say, I feel like my body's like pretty good. Like half a year ago, scoliosis, various aches and pains, and, you know, being young enough and all this stuff still was a thing. I would still say like it would not be perfect. It would be good enough, but it's not perfect. Like my teeth are like messed up and I'm like, who gives a damn? I have myopia and still a lot of other little thingies, but hey, I feel like I'm pretty good. So you don't have to be perfect, and like I'm not saying my body's like a perfect for switch and all this stuff, but it would be better. But at the same time, you have to look at what kind of being or like what kind of goal would a being need to have on Earth to take your body to achieve that goal? Because like if they're coming here for a reason. Most people that are here, you know, like where you have been deceived, where you have been forcefully incarnated, where you have come here to explore and that was a mistake. Or you actually reincarnated or came here for a reason and then like, yeah, nope, changed my mind. Whatever that is, it's okay. But now the body you have should fit the goal that another being is going to come that can achieve the goal of this body. I'm not sure if I stated it clearly, but yeah, basically, if you might have disabilities, if your body's like, maybe you're in a wheelchair, maybe you have lost a limb, maybe you have various aches and pains and something else is in the way, can a being still achieve their goal with your body? Most likely, yes, because they don't need to, let's just say, be engineers and programmers if it requires physical body activities or whatever else. It's like you can look at like different things like, hey, can that person have conversations? Can that person teach someone? Can they make videos? Can they like contribute and like give something to humanity? Most likely, yes. So that means once you define the being, like let's say their essence and everything else, you also look at what kind of goal a being should be able to achieve their goal using your body. And that's where it takes quite some time and a lot of work and focus, because it's not just like, okay, for some people, if you have an ability to get out of body, you can go through like a list of people and maybe find someone and be lucky enough to get out of here fast enough, but others will have to work. And if you're not choosing the harsh way out and you're willing to like, okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna do this, then you do have to put in the effort. Like everywhere else in life, if you want something, you have to work for it. Sadly, it's like, I wish things would come easily to most people if they wanted it, but so, okay, defining the being, their personality, their essence, their goals, and can they achieve this with your body? Defining a place, imagining the conversation, and how would you go about it? And allow yourself, like, act as if, imagine a scenario, just play it out from the beginning until the end. You meet that being in that location. What kind of conversation are you gonna have? Like, hey, you know, I am done with this life. My body's in a pretty good shape, in my opinion. And if you would like to take over and use that body to achieve your goals, it is yours. Just allow me to leave and blah, 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 blah. You know, think of the conversation you would have. What would you like to say? What would you like them to know? Like everything you have experienced as a physical body, Whatever you have seen, whatever you have heard, the memories that are in the brain is stored there, information is there. So basically, the same way you can fall asleep and end up in a dreamscape and remember or have the knowledge of what you have done in that world that you're dreaming about, or like you're just connecting to another like reality and all that stuff, it's okay. So the walk-in is basically going to have all the memories that you have experienced here. But you might want to be like, well, like I really care about my mom, or I have a cat, could you please take care of my cat? Like something, if you care about something and you would like the walk-in to do something for you, you can have the conversation, you can ask about those things, you can tell them that you care about something, and then that being can see if it actually fits with their goals and what they want to do. And if it works out, yay, you might actually have someone taking care of things you want to take care of them of. So there's that. I think that would be the main thing, but also, like, let's say you're looking for a way out and you need to look at, okay, so you did get out, you left Earth, where would you like to go? Because a lot of people are looking for, like, I want someone to switch with me, but they don't like think about afterwards. What's going to happen after you leave? Where are you going to end up? So you have to like think of location or a place where you would like to end up. A lot of people are like, well, Pleiadians seem fun, like Lyrans or maybe Taigetans. I end up with Swaru, talk to them, and blah, blah, blah. So you might have your own preferences of what would you like to experience. And then you have to, or you should consider, or it would be great to consider, the possibility of how much do you want to be involved in this game, or how much would you like to be done? And specifically, I'm talking Earth and physical reality. A lot of people have suffered, and so they're inclined into, well, entities, they annoy me. Reptilians have attacked me. I've been a targeted individual. I want to kick their ass. They should experience the same pain that I have experienced. It keeps you in the game. If you're into kicking ass and revenge, it keeps you in the game. Even if you leave Earth, you're still involved in it. Like, there's like a lot of chances you're going to come back, or even if you leave Earth, you're still not going too far. So it's very important to like look at how much would you like to be involved in this? Would you like to leave for good? Meaning physical universe, all these races you have heard of, like Pleiadians, Taigetans, Lyrans, and Andromedans, and everything else. If you're choosing to be with them, you're playing the game. And it would be great to, like if you've decided like, hey, I'm done, then the way you think of reality and everything you have, so far from this perspective, it's going to be very different. The way you're going to see things, like you might have seen photos or videos of this, like, let's say, psychedelic world, or the way people, they use some mushrooms or ayahuasca or something, and the visuals change. They get like insights and stuff, and the whole world can be psychedelic like, and it can be nuts. So you would have to like be okay with, like letting go of what you know so far. And that's scary because, like, okay, I'm going to a new place. I'm going outside of duality. So good, bad, right, wrong, and the way I perceive everything, having no more judgment and not being involved in playing these games, letting go of these things, and that's not your preference. It's just like defining reality, looking at what you want. Where would you like to end up? You can create your own reality. You can create your own world, realm and all with your imagination and just go there, but just look at, where would it be? How would it exist? What kind of beings would be there? Who would be able to step in that world, or who would not be able to? And your rules and everything else. It is important to define that because, like some people are just like imagining the world with not that many rules, but let's say, hey, after Earth, I'm going into an anime harem and there's going to be a lot of NPCs. I'm going to have a lot of fun. Great. If you're not thinking too far, you're still creating something closer to the physical reality, because this is like very, like, how I should say, not defining it too much allows your consciousness to build things closer to what you're comfortable with. And Earth and the physical reality that you understand right now is like, okay, it's not going to be that far. So defining, getting some rules of that realm would be great. Now, okay, so you have a place to go to. If you left Earth, how would you feel like? What would your character be like? What would change? Would all the pain suddenly disappear? Would your look and understanding of relationships and how you should be, like your values in life, what would change? Because, like a lot of people willing to be out, in a way we're running from issues, in a way we want to be done from the suffering, and that is fine. Like people are looking at, karma and dharma, and like, oh well, we should like everyone comes here to learn, like our higher self chooses a reason and why we're here, and we're here to learn all this stuff. Like, yeah, okay, so we're looking at children who are being raped and sacrificed, or people who are starving, or people who have been, just gotten into an explosion and died. Did they choose that? Why would they choose the life of 5 years to starve and not eat? And like, what kind of sane being would do that? You would not. Like, it's not a thing. So you would have to like look at, okay, I'm not running away from my issues, but I'm really tired of this world and the rules and everything else. How would you like to live? What would be your perfect world? How would you be able to behave and act like and feel like if you were free and everything was fine? Like, let's say if Earth was not messed up by the way you see it messed up, if that's how you see it at all, and the issues you're experiencing right now were gone, what would be different? What would your life be like? Let's say, okay, you have plenty of money. You have the roof over your head, you have the house and everything else. Great. Now what? Do you want to create? Do you want to be a writer? Do you want to just work out? What would be your thing? What would you like to do? You have to look at those things because, again, it's the reality you're going to experience. And if you're stuck with the issues, like, okay, I'm just going to get rid of the pain. That's not going to help. Not going to help much because it still keeps you closer, like kind of like grounded here. In order to leave, like let's say having a walk-in means you're gonna walk out and leave this physical body and someone's gonna take your place. But a lot of the pains and traumas and other things that we're looking at is keeping us grounded. Like, okay, we're trying to get away from that, we're trying to like shut it all off, but it's still the reality that you understand. And I don't know how to put it in words and explain it the way I experience it. But basically, a lot of the triggers and what's causing your life to be harsher here is also like causing you to be stuck. So you have to live from the perspective of, if the world was fine, if I didn't have those issues, what would I be like? I would be happy. I would, like, my body, my stance would be different. I would be like creating. And you would imagine yourself in the perfect world, but also practicing to live in that state, practicing to live from the state of, I woke up and I feel great, and I have this thing I want to do, and I'm doing it, and I'm enjoying it, and I can live my passion. And of course, it sounds like weird for some people, but you have to look at the perspective. If everything was fine and you got done and you were like done with this body, done with this place, done with the relationships and everything else, and now you're in that perfect world, you're out. And how would it be different? That allows you to grasp for a different reality. That allows you to leave, to let go of things. Because running, like you're in pain and you don't want experiencing it, not wanting or wanting is still holding you onto the issue. And while you're still into that, maybe you're suffering, maybe you have been a victim, maybe something happened, the constant story you're going to tell yourself, the constant memories coming up keeps you here. So again, we have to change our state. We have to change the way we think and all. So again, like there's a lot of factors. And I wish it was just like, hey, you're going to get out of body or have a dream, meet someone in there, have a talk, and they're going to switch with you. But there's a lot of factors where people will consider, is your body good enough for their goals? Do they want to take things from where you are right now in life? Like everyone, or like a lot of people wants it easy. So let's say where you live, the like how you have like your life right now, how much money do you have? Can that being come into your body, take things from where you are and thrive and actually achieve what they have? Or have you really messed it up? Like you will literally have to work at setting up good conditions for a being to like, hey, this is a really good start. Like if I'm going to pick this body up, and continue or like start this life I want, these are great conditions. And what would be their basic needs? So like in the conversation, you would have to ask like, okay, if you were to take this body, if you were to switch with me, what can I do for you to make it better? To make it like, let's say, hey, this body, it's like, you're going to try to sell the car, right? And you're going to try to sell the house or something. You're selling your body in a way. Someone's going to try to take over your life. How good is your life? Set them up. So again, like, you have to build it up. You have to work at it. And it's not easy. So whether you choose a gun or a walk-in, it's pretty harsh either way. But we have to work on ourselves our whole existence. Even after you leave this life, we're going to have to learn and everything else. So again, it's your choice, but hopefully you get the idea. And that being said, there's tons more things to be done or could be done and possibilities. And if you have any, like, let's say if you were reading, if you were like studying and all, what have you learned about the walk-ins and the walkouts, and what should the person do to get out? What would be your tips for them? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.